The results of the Jontay Porter betting scandal investigation are in, and the former Raptors center has been found guilty and thus banned from the NBA for life. But the situation actually is even worse than we initially thought for the player. Let's get into it. When the news first broke about the Jontay Porter betting scandal, it was surprising to see anybody involved, let alone a Toronto Raptors player. But the more we kind of dug in on the initial story, the more it kind of looked almost obvious as though the investigation was only going to end up in one way. It seemed very believable that Jontay Porter had been involved in this whole scandal, and it seemed very believable from that point onwards that if he was to be found guilty by the NBA, that he would be made an example of and banned from the NBA for life. I think this was the correct move made by Adam Silver and the NBA team. They do not want anything to provide a possible hindrance on the integrity of the game. That is all they really have with the sport. The profitability of this super mega billion-dollar corporation is at stake with this. They made an example, and rightly so, of Jontay Porter. Now, if you don't know what's happened with the Jontay Porter scandal, essentially, what initially broke from Shams and Woj is that Jontay Porter was involved in some player prop unders associated with himself, specifically in games that he left after 3 or 4 minutes, where the biggest bet winnings of the day, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, were on Jontay Porter unders. Now, when it comes to sports betting, you can always find an edge no matter which player it is. So the fact that Jontay Porter is a lesser player in the NBA doesn't take away from the possibility of profitability when it comes to one of these players. But it did raise some eyebrows when it first happened, and if it raised eyebrows when it first happened with Jontay Porter, the fact that it was twice that Porter did this makes it even worse. But as if all of that was bad enough for Jontay Porter, things did get even worse, and I am furious about it. But before we go any further on that, reminder that this is Amateur Sports, the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors news coverage and analysis, whether it be in videos like this or in live streams as well. All throughout the offseason, we have some great content coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to keep up to date on all that. Help us on the road to 18,000 subs. And if you enjoyed this one along the way, be sure to hit that like button. But things did get worse for Jontay Porter amidst the investigation, where we now have the results coming from Shams and Woj via Twitter. Jontay Porter, not only has it been confirmed that he was involved with betting associates and did reveal the confidential information associated with his injuries, where he would be exiting the game early, therefore making it an easy bet to bet on his unders for player props. Not only was he involved in this, but he was also involved in 13 specific bets through an associate on the NBA, and these bets included the Raptors to lose games. I'm livid. Truly, I am so furious about this. As bad as things got for the Raptors this season, as bad as it was, the 15-game losing streak, the 57 losses on the season, we knew there'd be some issues with the Raptors. We knew they'd be losing games, right? But the entire time, I give huge credit and seriously commend the coaching staff, Darko Rajakovic, for continuing to keep morale up and continuing to keep spirits up. Because you saw, even amidst a 15-game losing streak, they showed up every single day, every single game, there to win. Organizations tank, coaches do not tank, players do not tank. So they put in the work on a day-to-day basis to try and win these games. Now, they were bad and they lost a ton of games. I recognize that. But those people every single day were putting in work to try and win basketball games, even despite knowing that they very likely on a day-to-day basis were not going to win those games. And to have one of your own players with ulterior motives throughout that whole process is beyond scum behavior. It is ridiculous, and I am livid about it. Honestly, I am livid about it. To have somebody on your own team actively trying to hurt your team's ability to win games when you're putting in all that work on a day-to-day basis is absolutely ridiculous. It almost feels as though getting banned from the NBA is just not enough in this whole situation here. The fact, it's just one thing to bet on your own player prop and just leave the game after 3 or 4 minutes. Yes, you have a negative effect on the game, but ultimately not too much of a negative effect on the game. But to have a wager in place for the Raptors to lose, apparently it was via a same game parlay, whatever it was. And look, the Raptors were very much underdogs in a lot of these games, but to have one of your own players vying for your team to lose is so heinous and so unforgivable. it just makes this whole situation even worse for Jontay Porter. Honestly, cannot believe these bets included specific bets on the Raptors to lose. That just made this whole thing completely worse. Regardless, even if it was just influencing the bets by providing the confidential information to his so-called injuries and leaving the game early, that was enough to be banned from the NBA for life, and it's pretty crazy. The reports that have come out around Jontay Porter says that he had a net profit on his wagers of about $21,000, and there was one report of a same-game parlay for one of those games that he did exit early where somebody put down $80,000 to win $1.1 million. So a lot of people might see some of these reports, maybe have seen the screenshots from these bets and say, well, he made a whole bunch of money here. Yes, he was making a lot of money in the NBA. Compared to other NBA players, maybe it wasn't a lot of money. It was about $400,000. That's a lot to me. That's a lot to you probably watching this video. That's way more than I need, to be honest, but maybe he wanted more. And people look at those figures, the 1.1 million or the 20K that he won from the bets. And honestly, believe me when I say, just because you have $1.1 million in your betting account, it does not mean that that $1.1 million is ever going to end up in your bank account. And as soon as DraftKings were alerted to this situation, going through the bets and seeing the issues associated with it and seeing something fishy might be going on, I guarantee you they were not allowing that $1.1 million to be withdrawn from the account. So that $1 million plus is likely never going to see the light of day because you violated the DraftKings rules. You violated the house rules associated to the account that you agreed to when you signed up to it. So it doesn't feel as though there's really anything that's coming out of this one positively for Jontay Porter, even for the bets where he won $20,000, even if that money did see the light of day. Like, this is a serious this is serious here. The NBA have confirmed it. Like, this should be taken to a criminal level. This is an astonishing level of stupidity to end your NBA career over. Like, this isn't some guy who, was on a 10-day contract. This is his only shot in the NBA. This is a player who had signed on a 2-way contract, was performing pretty well amidst the tank, and had a decent shot of landing a spot on the roster next season, if not somewhere else. At the very least, he put himself in the mix to be signed in future to an NBA team. Like, I'm not saying this guy's going to be in your main rotation, nor should he be, but certainly Jontay Porter was operating at the level of somebody who could be very seriously considered to be, in the 12 to 15 man spot on your roster. Would that a guaranteed NBA contract? Would that $1 million plus on a year-to-year basis? It is truly an astonishing level of stupidity for Jontay Porter to get himself involved in something like this and to end his NBA career over something like this. And what I think is even crazier is the fact that on two occasions, he influenced betting in this specific way where he left the game early. One was an illness, one was an eye injury. Fed that confidential information prior to those games to an associate where Jontay Porter likely said, I'm going to check out of the game after 3 or 4 minutes. Therefore, it's going to be easy under on those player props. Like, once was crazy to do because, you're probably going to get caught anyways. But to do it twice, that's just way too much of a coincidence for anybody to believe. And therefore, DraftKings in the regulated market were able to deduce this and were able to conclude this a lot quicker than perhaps in an unregulated betting market. They reported it to the NBA, and now we're at the point where Jontay Porter has been banned for life. And good fucking riddance, honestly. You guys know, I'm seething over this. I am so angry. The player prop stuff, wasn't that mad about it. I thought it was stupid, but when there is so many people putting in work on a day-to-day basis to win basketball games, and you have ulterior motives, it makes my blood boil. I hope he never plays professional basketball again. I hope he never played in the NBA. I hope he never plays professional basketball again. And the one fear I have from this whole situation is that Jontay Porter is a lot more famous now than he was for playing basketball. So I just hope no, betting Discord server comes out of this. I hope no social media presence arises out of this because he deserves nothing. He deserves absolutely nothing. Complete scum behavior, and I think he's very lucky to have a brother who makes a lot of money. This is horrible. And again, I hope nothing positive comes out of this for Jontay Porter, for this stupid, scummy act against the Raptors, his teammates, his coaches, the people who cared enough to sign him, and of course, the National Basketball Association. What do you make of this whole situation? Give me your thoughts and opinions on Jontay Porter in the comments down below. Do you think he actually had a chance to make the roster next season? That'll do it for me for today. I had a video that's supposed to come out today. It's going to come out tomorrow instead. So there's plenty of content, some extra content, in fact, coming at you on Amateur Sports. So you know when everything comes out, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a like if you did enjoy this one as well. I'll see you guys again next time for another video.